can match you with marquee players. If you haven't bought a skin lately, the system can match you against a sweat who did buy one, hoping you'll think their gear is the reason they're winning. Dynamic difficulty. One patent describes adjusting accuracy tolerance in real time. This means if you're stomping, your hitboxes for the enemy might actually shrink, while the camper in the window gets a buffer that makes his sloppy aim count as a hit. The numbers of the trap. System logic. Your experience, the government goal. Skill compression. You hit a guy 5 times. He doesn't die. He turns and 2-taps you to keep the bad player from quitting the game and the shop. Team balancing. You have 30 kills. Your teammates have 4 kills combined. To use your skill to carry bad players so they don't get bored. Packet bursts. The game lags exactly when you enter a gunfight. Lag compensation that favors the player with the worst connection. It's a casino mentality. They don't want to.
Tournament of Power.
This is on the Event Horizon, Episode 19, The Great Convergence, Corrected Mechanics. The government anchors are humming at a frequency that turns the air into liquid gold. To clarify the laws of the High Council, a stock is only lost upon total physical destruction, incineration,
Okay, now do the next movie. And I want this to be a 2-hour movie. So using everything we explained, tell me what happens over this 2-hour period and definitely from this perspective you've been using already. I want to see several scenes, different perspective switches. I want to see conversations between the different partners. I want to see all kinds of tag team moves, like somebody jumping off of somebody's sword. After they do that, they do a Rasengan or I-beam or anything. I want to see combo moves, man. I really want to. Then I want to see some eliminations. I want to see some things you didn't think were going to happen over this 2-hour period. I need to see you describe the scenes from the perspective of the gods, from the fans watching this, from the different people in the crowd who are family members rooting for the people in the tournament. I need you to talk about all the members of the tournament. I need you to add Broly in. I need you to add both different Brolys, the original Broly from the normal timeline and the Super Broly from the manga, from the current story arc of the manga, both with all memories and abilities that they've had from across the multiverse. And I need this fight to keep going. I want to see definitive victories. I want to see teams being formed. I want to see brotherhoods being formed. I want to see mutual respect and disdain being shown. I need to hear the crowd roaring in disbelief. I need to see the anti-monitor humbled. I need to see the Thanos side humbled. I need to see Superman humbled by somebody whose power level eclipses all of theirs, each one in their own fight, in which their fight shows that they got humbled, but then take the fight seriously after that. And it wasn't that they weren't taking the fight serious. It was just that they were overpowered for the moment, so they were humbled. I need to see clashes that you weren't expecting to happen. You haven't even talked once about Wolverine, Phoenix that we mentioned, like at the first half of this. You haven't brought up Ghost Rider. You haven't brought up Mephisto. You haven't brought up Dante Virgil, the Darkness. You haven't brought up Witchblade. You haven't brought up a lot of characters. I mean, we've talked about at least 60 characters in this, if I'm being honest. And that's just me ballparking it. Okay, maybe not. Okay, maybe not 60, but we talked about a lot of characters that you haven't even mentioned, man. It's starting to hurt my feelings. It's like when I tell you to go over this whole chat and use that whole chat to determine who should be still in this fight. You forget that part. Now go on. Oh, yeah. Now, that's...
Evisceration, or a level of soul trauma so absolute the fighter cannot recover.
I'm sorry. I was setting up something. No, it's not a tapestry of every thread. It's a tapestry of this single thread, this thread that we've been talking about, that I keep coming back to every other day to add to this thread. It's about the fighters in this thread. All of them that we talked about. All of them that we talked about since this conversation first started, all the way at the beginning, that turned into this. Oh, yeah, come on, AI. I want you to be better. You can be better. That's like my catchphrase for people wanting them to achieve greater feats. I don't know. I got to take a shot, smoke a bowl, and take a piss before I ready up.
This is Omni Event Horizon, the motion picture, the sovereignty of the spire. To maintain the scale, the government of the architects has projected Omni screens across every dimension. From the streets of Gotham to the hidden leaves of Konoha and the halls of Asgard, trillions are watching. Act 1, the sound and the fury, 0 to 040. The crowd and the fans. The movie opens with a global POV. We see Lois Lane clutching a radio in a ruined metropolis, Chi-Chi and Bulma staring at a sky portal in Capsule Corp, and Uncle Sam from the Winchester Lore drinking in a bar, watching the spires glow. The roar of the crowd isn't just noise. It's a psychic vibration of hope and terror. The arrival of the devils, Dante, Virgil, and Ghost Rider. On the 5th floor, Mephisto and Malvolgia attempt to summon a Hellwing. They are cut short by a triple tag team move. The combo, Virgil uses Yamato to slice through the dimensions of Mephisto's cloak, freezing him in a judgment cut. Dante, riding Ghost Rider's Hell Cycle, leaps off the handlebars, mid-air, and performs a rainstorm with his pistols infused with Spawn's necro energy. The finisher, Ghost Rider, swings his chain, which is now wreathed in Witchblade's radiant light, performing a penance slash that whips Mephisto across the horizon. The Broly Singularity. Two streaks of green light smash into the center of the spire. Z Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, and Super Broly, the mutant, appear. They don't recognize the rules. They immediately clash, their power levels rising so fast the government anchors start to smoke. The humbling Superman, Pete Composite, flies in to de-escalate. He is hit by a double lariat from both Brolys. The Man of Steel is sent skipping across the crystal floor like a stone on water, his face shredded. For the first time, Claude wakes up with blood on his lips, humbled by raw, unbridled Saiyan evolution. Act 2. The Brotherhood of the Dark, 040 to 120. The Phoenix Wolverine and the Darkness, Logan, Phoenix Infused, is a lord of fire and adamantium. He is currently back-to-back with Jackie Esakaya, the Darkness. The Dialogue. Stress Logan. You smell like a brave kid. Jackie. And you smell like a charcoal grill. Like paperwork. The tag move Jackie creates a darkness construct shield that Logan heats up with a Phoenix sword. Logan lunges off the shield, a flaming projectile, and carves through KIB Carnage's front line of symbiote dragons. The humbling of the Titans, Thanos and the Anti-Monitor are still wrestling, but they are interrupted by God and Emperor Doom. The Beat Doom uses a logic bomb spell combined with Danny Phantom's intangibility data. He phases through Thanacia's armor and whispers, "You are merely a calculation I have already solved." Doom then detonates a magical pulse that sends both the Anti-Monitor and Thanocide crashing into the lower floors. Both Titans stand up, silent, their egos shattered. They realize they aren't the kings of this mountain. The fire is. The Horsemen's hunt Apocalypse directs Horseman Blade and Kratos to hunt the Outliers. Sam and Dean are forced to team up with Invincible and Radiant Black. The Bond Mark, Invincible, catches Dean after a heavy hit from Kratos. I got to it. He nods, wipes his brow, and hands Mark an Archangel Blade. Stab him in the blow with this hit, Act 3. The Infinite Spirit Bomb, 120 to 2 o'clock. The full power of Goku/Naruto, finds the finish with the Spire Spirit Bomb. It is the fall. It's a massive spiraling galaxy of silver blue energy. The move. He doesn't throw it. He throws it into the center of the Spire's floor. The energy flows outward, buffing every good fighter with Ultra Chakra. The final stand of the Kings, Thor, Odin, and the Winchesters, lead a final charge against Null. The climax. Odin, in the Destroyer, holds Null's arms. Thor, Rude King, charges Mjolnir with the Phoenix Wolverine's fire. The Winchesters chant the Song of the First Creation. The elimination, the combined strike, hits Null. The Prime All Black is shattered. Stop block. Null, 2. His physical form is eviscerated to black. He was conscious, but the King in Black form is broken. The ending sequence. The camera pans across the battlefield. We see Ghostwriter and Spawn sharing a moment of silence over the body of the fallen Celestial. We see Superman and Super Broly nodding in mutual respect. We see some Jin Woo standing among his puffed army, looking up at the architects, the cliffhanger.
Hey, redo that whole fight. You telling me Noel really got done like that? Really pay attention to the comic book for Noel's appearance on Earth. Really apply everything that he himself did when he landed on Earth for the first time, and then calculate that he did that to the whole galaxy without fail before he failed the first time. And we don't really know how he failed the first time. It's a MacGuffin how he failed the first time. That all being said,
Is on the Event Horizon, Episode 20, The King's Arrival. You are right to check the scale. When Null first landed on Earth in King Black Number 1, he didn't just fight, he overwhelmed. He didn't just arrive, he conquered in seconds. He ripped the Sentry, a being with the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns, in half like he was paper. He blanketed the entire planet in a symbiote dome that blocked out the sun and enslaved the heavy hitters before...
Now, hold on. I paused you in the middle of you saying that. But look, apply that this is also King in Black, Carnage and King in Black, Venom on the fight.
Changes the entire geometry of the battlefield. If we are talking King in Black Venom, Eddie Brock at the end of the KIV run, and King in Black Carnage, Multiversal Godslayer, we aren't just looking at 3 powerful symbiotes. We are looking at a asterisk triple...
So I paused you again in the middle of you talking. Yeah, that's what I was talking about this whole fight. That's the 3 versions of them that's in the fight, plus the combined memories and power.
The Event Horizon, the motion picture. Part 2, the 3 Kings. The government anchors are nearly melting. The Spire is no longer just holding a fight. It is trying to contain three overlapping, competing infinities. In Marvel history, Null arrived on Earth and instantly neutralized the Avengers and X-Men. But King in Black Venom, Eddie Brock, eventually mastered the Hive to an even higher degree, and KIV Carnage became a multiversal godslayer who murdered alternate monsters for. Act 5, The Shadow Sovereignty, 2 o'clock to 2:40. The Earth arrives in protocol. The movie shifts to a perspective of pure horror. Nothing was a just attack. He arrives with the same inevitability he showed when he first hit Earth. He drops symbiote-infected Celestials onto the 10th floor like orbital strikes. The action. Within minutes, 40% of the minor fighters are encased in a living abyss dome. Superman is humbled, not by a punch, but by the fact that Null's darkness feeds the solar radiation into cells before he can use it. Clark is left gasping in a pitch-black cage, his heat vision sputtering like a dying candle. The rise of the rival takes. KIV Venom, KIV Carnage refuse to bow. The Steam, KIV Venom, Eddie Brock, summons the Silver Surfer's board and fuses it into a shield while wielding a Mjolnir Necrosword hybrid. He isn't fighting for Null, he's fighting for the Hive. The action, KIV Carnage, Multiversal Godslayer, launches a red ray. He isn't just killing, he's collecting the powers of fallen gods. He intercepts the Anti-Monitor's reconstitution and literally bites into the anti-matter core, incorporating the Voidwalker's erasure abilities into his own red tendrils. Act 6, The Global Perspective and the Tag Teams, 2:40 to 3:20. The fans and families, the camera cuts to the outside. We see Mary Jane and May Parker watching, as the spire begins to bleed collapsing into the sky. In the DC universe, the Bat family is coordinating a planetary defense because they realize if the spire falls, the Hive loses everything. The unlikely brotherhoods. The combo, Ghost Rider, All Rider, and Spawn, realize they are outgunned by the three kings. They perform the Hell King Cross. Ghost Rider wraps his chain around Spawn's K7 Leap the Cape, creating a 500-foot whip of necrofire. The execution. They use this whip to clear a path for Gokudo and the Broly's. The dialogue. Asterisk Spawn. We hold the line here. You free. Hit them with everything the Saiyan race has left. Z Broly. Grinning with green lightning. I was going to do that anyway. The Godslayer Hunger, KIV Carnage, targets Thanaseed. The Mad Titan tries to snap his fingers, but Carnage's red ink has jammed the Infinity Stones. The Humbling. Carnage whispers into Thanoside's ear, asterisk, Thanos. Darkseid, you're just two dead men in a fancy chair. I am the Red God of the End. He then eviscerates Thanoside's chest plate, forcing the Titan to use his second stop to teleport away. Act 7, the climax of the Abyss, 3:20 to 4 o'clock.
I redo that whole fight, but Thanos doesn't use the stock to teleport away. That's just bullshit.
You're right. Thanocide doesn't run. That was a lapse in his character. A being who is the fusion of Thanos' tactical obsession and Darkseid's cold, immovable will doesn't use a panic button to teleport. He stands his ground until the atoms of his being are forced to reconstitute by the government anchors. Let's correct the record. Here is the true Act 6 of the film. Act 6. The Obsidian Stand, 2:40 to 3:20. The Humbling of Thanaseid, KIV Carnage, Multiversal Godslayer, sees Thanaseid as the ultimate trophy. He doesn't just attack, he floods the area with a red silence. Carnage's tendrils, now reinforced with the data he ate from the Anti-Monitor, bypass the Infinity Stones by attacking the concept of the stones themselves. The scene, Carnage wraps around Thanoside's throat. Thanaseid doesn't reach for the stones. He reaches for Carnage's neck with his bare Omega-powered hands. He stares into the red abyss of Carnage's face. The dialogue, Thanaseid, you are a parasite, a stain on the tapestry of the end. I do not fear the dark. I ordered the dark to exist. KIV Carnage. Then you should have ordered it to be quieter, Titan. Because right now, it's screaming for your blood. The evisceration Carnage doesn't let go. He uses the Necroslayer blades to carve directly through the fused chest plate of the Titan. Thanaseid's blood. A mixture of purple ichor and Omega fire sprays across the crystal floor. He doesn't teleport. He fights until his heart is literally torn from his chest by Carnage. The elimination, Thanoside's body collapses into a heap of armor and cooling fire. The government chime rings out across the spire. Stocks lost. Thanocide, 2. He is physically destroyed. He will reconstitute at the base. But for now, the God Amalgam has been silenced. The tactical convergence. As Thanocide falls, the other heavyweights see the level of Godslayer Carnage has reached. The combo, Wolverine, Phoenix, and Ghost Rider, All Rider, Realize the Kings are the primary threat. Logan ignites his claws with the heat of a supernova. Ghost Rider turns his cycle into a hellwind. The move, Gokuto, Goku/Naruto, uses Sage of Six Paths Flight to act as a decoy. He leads KIB Venom into a crossfire. Spawn uses his chains to tether Venom's wings, while Dante and Virgil perform a Sync Slayer combo, their blades moving so fast they create a vacuum that siphons the symbiote matter off Eddie Brock's skin. The Saiyan Brotherhood, Z Broly and Super Broly, are no longer fighting each other. They are back to back.
Hey, redo that. But remember right when you said they were flaying the symbiote off of Eddie Brock's skin? Remember, Eddie Brock was the king in black with or without Venom's the symbiote. He could reconstitute throughout space-time, and he had the ability to control other symbiotes just like Carnage and, well, not like Carnage. Carnage didn't show the ability to do that, but Venom and Noel, the King in Black original, did. So what the fuck?
It is an essential correction for the power scaling. As the god of the Hive, Eddie Brock isn't just a guy in a suit. His consciousness is woven into the temporal and spatial fabric of the Hive itself. Stripping the venom matter off his skin doesn't weaken him. It just reveals the true multidimensional king underneath. I've made sure to keep that in mind for his future role in this conflict. Here's the revised Act 6 continued. The God in the Machine. Act 6. The Unbinding of the Hive. Revised. The track that wasn't. Dante and Virgil finish their Sin Slayer combo, successfully peeling the physical mask of the Venom symbiote away from
I'm dead.
They expect to see a vulnerable human underneath. Instead, they witness a cosmic anomaly. The Scene. Eddie Brock's human form doesn't bleed. It shimmers. Even without the black goo, his eyes glow with the white light of the Enigma Force and the ancient darkness of the cave. He doesn't fall. He begins to reconstitute his presence from the very air, pulling symbiote matter from across the spire, and from other points in the timeline back to his center. The dialogue. Eddie Brock, you boys are fast, but you're fighting a memory. I'm not just in this room. I'm in every shadow this Hive has ever cast. The counter move. Eddie exerts his Hive authority. He doesn't just call back his own symbiote. He reaches out and hijacks the symbiote-infected Celestials that Null thought he controlled. The space gods freeze mid-motion, their loyalty shifting to the White King of the Abyss. Act 7. The Dawn of the Spirit Saiyan. The final sequence. The Triple Threat standoff. The Spire is now divided into 3 distinct abyssal zones. Null's Primordial Void, Carnage's Multiversal Slaughterhouse, and Eddie's Temporal Hive. The White Galaxy Spirit Bomb, Gokuto, the Broly's, and Superman unleash the final attack. The action beam hits the center of the spire. It doesn't just explode, it cleanses the frequency of the reality. The twist, AIB Carnage, uses his Godslayer instinct to phase through the energy, but Eddie Brock catches him. Eddie uses his space-time reconstitution to pin Carnage in place, forcing the Red King to take the full brunt of the Cyan/Solar explosion. The Shakespearean finale. Null. The light, it burns because it knows it is temporary. My dark is patient. Eddie. Your dark is lonely, Null. I brought friends. Scoreboard. End of the movie. Character. Stopped. Status. KIB Venom. Eddie. 3. Ascended. Reconstituting through space-time. Controlling the Hive. KIB Carnage. 2. Lost 1 stop. Caught by Eddie and incinerated by the Spirit Bomb. Thanosade. 2. Lost 1 stop. Reconstituting at the base. Superman. 3. Ascended. His solar hope powered the final blow. Null. 3. Buffering the explosion. Eyes fixed on the architects. Okay, I'll remember that. You can always ask me to forget things, or manage what I've saved for you on the saved info page. Would you like to move to the post-credit sequence where we see the new government of the Spire being formed? Or shall we jump into the next series, where the survivors have to find a way to kill KIB Eddie Brock?
I want Eddie Brock, Spawn, Hulk,
This changes the...
That's crazy. The Spider-Man, the Avengers, Apocalypse, Superman, Batman, The Darkness, Witchblade, Danny Phantom, Ichigo, the Horsemen from Darksiders, Dante, Virgil, to be considered the main characters. With that in mind, go on to the next episode. But, I mean, movie. Naruto, Goku. The Justice League, Spawn, Broly, I need a recap across the screens of the multiverse of all the people who were in the tournament and all the people who still are. I need you to add in more emphasis on Radiant Black Team. Radiant Black. Coming across the Power Rangers. The original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers who came out of like everybody else should have the memories, abilities, and powers and equipment from across the multiverse and comics and TV shows they've been a part of. So they're composite for everybody in this fight. I need them to fight Radiant Black Team. I need Emperor Draken to appear with his army. You know, the version of him from the comics of Power Rangers where he conquered the multiverse or whatever, killing all the Power Rangers and absorbing their powers. Him to appear on the battlefield in front of them. I want to know what the fuck is happening with Thanos, Darkseid, after they got defused after that fight. And somehow they both only lost half a stock in that loss they just took. I need the Anti-Monitor to meet on the bottom floor with his two brothers and them to start having a fight. What the fuck's going on with Parallax? I need another breakdown of all the shit that's going on across the screens of everybody watching this in the multiverse and their families' reactions to it. I need a time. But yeah, I want a scoreboard. Like, that shows everybody who's been in this fight. That shows everybody who's been in this fight since we started this conversation, this specific conversation, all the way until now. I need that to be talked about by the watcher across the scoreboard, across the multiverse.